Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate of Life with Kevin Riles. This is your host, Kevin Riles, and this week we're talking about planning and permitting. I have Yajaira from Houston Plan and Permits. We're going to talk about how you go through the permitting process. I just did a duplex project with them. I was very impressed with their company, and I want you guys to kind of understand if you want to build a custom home or an investment property, how do I get that permitted? How do I do that? So we're going to talk about that in just 1 second. DJ, hit that permitting music, please.
Support for this program comes from the Digital Broadcasting Network, presenting podcasts and web series from everyday people who have an extraordinary passion to make the world a better place.
Thank you for coming back to the Real Estate of Life with Kevin Riles and friends. And I'm excited this week we have friend company, and I'm just excited because I'm going through this process right now. And so I wanted you guys to kind of get a sense of what it takes to go through the permitting and planning process to do a design build project for yourself. I think I've told you in previous episodes that I'm in the process of building 2 duplexes over in the southeast side of Houston. And so I was actually talking to a client one day who is building some rental properties. And, I do this for a living. I do real estate development. I do commercial development. But I had never built a custom project. And so he said, hey, man, I'm using this company called Houston Plans and Permits. And so I said, well, what's that? And he kind of described it to me, and he introduced me to their founder and owner, Hugo Fuentes. And they have just been a joy to work with. So for those of you that follow me on social media, you noticed the other day I posted a picture in front of at their office, Houston Plans and Permits, with my yellow piece of paper. And that yellow piece of paper means that I am now permitted to start building my duplexes. So I am so excited about that. And so I thought, you know what, now that I'm going through that process, and when I made that post with my project manager, Laylee, I got so many questions in the comment sections and in the direct messages about the process and things of that nature. So I decided to have Houston Plans and Permits on our podcast. And so today I'm joined virtually live from her office. From the offices of Houston Plans and I'm trying to really build this up. The offices of Houston Plans and Permits. I just want to thank, and I want to, again, I know I asked this off the air. Let me make sure I'm saying your name correctly. Say it for me real quick. Yajaira. So I want to introduce you to the Yajaira, who is the project manager of the project managers that she's explaining. I'll have her explain here in a second what she does. But she works for Houston Plans and Permits. And again, today I just want to go over the basic of getting permitted, designing a project, things of that nature here in the Houston area. And for those of you that listen outside of Texas, because I know I have listeners that listen nationwide, this basic process, as I have done my research, is the same in most cities, where there might be a couple little nuances, but essentially this is a basic process. So Yajaira, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Kevin. Thank you for having us today. It's such an honor to be on your podcast and be able to explain the plans and permitting to everybody. So shoot us any questions you have. So I'm Yajaira from Houston Plans and Permits. I'm the project manager director, so I pretty much assess all the project managers. I was a project manager at one point, but now I just help them if they get stuck or if there's questions or there's a difficult project. But yeah, I'm with Houston Plans and Permits.
Okay, well, so Yajaira, before we get to the planning and permitting process, I'm going to ask you a couple of more personal questions. What's your background? Are you an architecture person? How did you get into being a project manager and doing plans and permits?
Well, it's kind of funny because I was actually in nursing and somehow I stumbled upon Houston Plans and Permits. Yes, so completely different. I've been doing it for over 5 years now.
Okay.
So I've been with Houston Plans and Permits till about 5 years or so. But I just started work here one day, and I love it. I love seeing people's face after we give them their permit, or we finish a house, or going out to the site to see the construction. So I was actually in nursing, which is the background, but
gotcha.
Completely different from.
So literally you were in nursing and you just got a general job at Houston Planning and Permits, and it just kind of started that way?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, correct.
Wow.
Correct.
That,
And everything is interesting, all the codes, everything we have to go through that people don't know. As a homeowner, you're just like, well, this is my house. How do why do I have to get a permit? So it's very interesting what you learn, and what you get to help the community, knowing all these different things, my parents, me.
Got you. So are you like me? My background is actually IT, and so I'm my family's help desk when it comes to IT. So are you your family's code enforcer?
Yes, I'm like, do not do that. I understand you own and you pay, but do not do something without a permit. Do not
Right.
start construction or anything like that. But yeah.
Yes, got you. So they use your expertise. So I came to you guys with an idea about doing a duplex, and I had some preliminary designs from examples and things of that nature, and we worked together over a couple of weeks to come up with an actual design. So I guess my first question for those out here listening on how do I get started? If I want to build a house or build a project for investment or to live in, what's the best way that clients come to you, or do they come to you with the design in their mind on the back of a napkin? Do they come to you and say, I have no idea what I want to build? What's the best way to kind of enter into the process?
So we get a little bit of everything. We get a lot of people that have a binder and they already know exactly what they want. They've been looking into their own home for like a year, and they have binder pictures. But then we also have the clients that have no idea, and they have all these different pictures of different styles of homes, and those are a little more complicated because, of course, it depends if it's for you or to sell, or an investment property. We can't read people's minds, so we always say, hey, 1 to 2 pictures. Do not bring me 20 different pictures, because then we won't get the idea of what you really want. But the best way to start is, so when you do contact us, either by phone, email, or you walk into our office, we do pre-qualify every client. We don't just give you pricing because your property has a lot to do with your project. So that's the very first step, is having an address. The address will help us figure out if it's in the city of Houston, if it's in a flood zone, if it's the size of the actual lot. So that's the very first step, your address. We ask for your address and we pre-qualify it. We have a couple programs we use, which is HCAD and GIMS. We use that to pre-qualify your address. Once
Gotcha.
we know, if it's in a flood zone or not, if it's just a regular lot, you're not over 15,000, it's in the city of Houston, it's, we know what we have to do. So then from there, we give you our pricing, and if you decide to use us for the design, then we sit down with the designer and we assign you a project manager. That person is your point of contact.
So before you move forward, I just want to capture your first step. Having the property identified, either ownership or under contract, is the very first step. I just wanted to kind of pull that out of your process, because I have clients that will come to me and say, hey, I want to build the Taj Mahal. Okay, well, where do you want to build it? Well, I haven't figured that out yet. Well, what she is saying is identifying the address or the locale. So for instance, my property that I worked with you guys technically didn't have an address, but I had the property. It was a 0 in the street name, and as a part of this process, I actually got the address. But having that piece of property identified and under some level of control, and then when she says GIMS and HCAD, they can look up the tax property, and then GIMS is the database that allows for them to see what type of utilities and things of that nature to the lot. So I just wanted to kind of pull that out so people understand why you're saying having an address is important.
Yes, correct. And even if you're looking into purchasing a property and you want us to look into it before you purchase it, we can assist you with that as well. Only because, some people buy properties in the flood zones and they didn't know what they were getting themselves into. It's a little bit more expensive, going through the city is a longer process. So we always can look up an address beforehand and letting you know, okay, look, this is the type of property you're going to purchase. We look at the water lines as well.
Right.
So pre-qualifying is really important.
And one other thing I'll say is, I think it's last week or the week before last, City of Houston, for those of you that are City of Houston listeners, passed some major changes as to the requirements as to how high you have to build your structure, whether commercial or residential. And so things like that of knowing where the property is so that you know that you may have extra costs and have to go, I think it's 4 feet or 3 feet up, is important.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So that is our first step.
Got you. All right, so I have my address. I walked in, so I'm gonna tell you guys what I did. I walked in. I had my lot already. I owned it. I owned it for a couple of years. I actually had a survey of my lot already in digital format because I knew, because of what I do, I'm a commercial real estate broker. I knew that they would ask me for that, and so I bring that into you, and I had a general idea of what I wanted. So I might have bought 4 pictures. I'm sorry, Yajaira. It might have been 4. I'm sorry. It was 2 more than you're allowed. No, I'm joking. But I did have an idea of what I wanted to build. And so take me from I have an idea or, and I guess also I remember Hugo rolling out, he had plan books, like you could just flip through plan books as well, correct?
Correct. We do have a stock plan catalog. It's a little bit faster and easier. Some people don't want to do a custom. They're just in a hurry. They just want to get plans. And we show them our stock plans that we have. They could purchase one of those, and it's a little bit of a faster process. You can make changes to them as well, but a lot of people do use a stock plan as well. It's a little cheaper and it's a little faster.
And I also want to say that you guys work with both people that want to build their dream house or their house to live in, but just like me, you're working with others that are I'm an investor. I'm building an investment house either to have people live in as rental property or to sell, correct?
Correct. We do, if you want to build your dream house, design it with us. We do additions, remodels, and also if it's an investment addition or remodel or brand new custom.
Right, and I forgot to mention, you're right, you'll do remodels as well. So
yes.
Let's say we got our design, we've agreed, that this is the time to either pick one of your stock plans or like me, I brought in some general floor plans. And so now what happens in your process, and then we'll talk about the city process.
So our process, we take the custom design homes in steps. Mm-hmm. Only because we like to go step by step, and you approve every single step, the floor plan, the elevations, and then the entire set of plans. So we go by steps. Once you decide this is the design I want, we do a floor plan for you, we show it to you. If you approve it, we continue with the plan. So it could be a fast process or it could be a slow process depending on how many revisions get done to the actual plans.
Right.
But you would sit down with the designer and the project manager.
So just to let you know, she may not say this. I don't know if she does in the consultation. I know they say it in consultation. So you get 2 revisions. I do know that. I remember that. And after that, there's a little charge. And more so than the charge, what I wanted you to explain is why you do 2 revisions. I know why, but can you explain kind of why you get kind of 2 revisions, and then after that we may have to charge you, for the revisions? Of
course. So we have that in our invoice only because we have clients that will do 100 revisions and then after 2-3 months they're like, why is it taking so long? Well, you made 100 revisions, Right. So we do help with more revisions. We don't always charge, but as long as the client understands, hey, it might take a little longer because we're making more revisions. And usually when it's a custom and you're gonna live in it and it's your dream home, you're usually okay with longer process, more revisions because
you want to get it right.
Dream home.
Right.
Yes, correct. And if it's an investment property, you're not gonna put your heart into it. You're gonna want to design what's gonna sell. So right. It's a fashion process, and we know you're in a hurry as well because you want to build. So we do 2 revisions, and then once we do charge, we also kick the process faster. It won't take as long as doing your custom dream home.
Got you. And I want people to know, and I know we're featuring Houston Plans and Permits on this process with any designer or architect is the same. This is not just the Houston Plans and Permits process. Usually when I work in the School of Architecture at Prairie View, and I work around architects, and they will tell you basically the same thing that she's telling you, that, there's only a certain amount of revisions. After a while, we have to start charging you, because if you're changing the elevation, and by the way, let me explain. When she says floor plan, that's the map of your property. Elevation is how does the front look, or the sides and the outside of your property look, just for those that might not know that. And so if you're changing your elevation every other revision, which also causes structural changes, then that takes time, and that takes time, and that takes time. And so that's why they try to restrict, most designers try to restrict the number of revisions you have. Let's try to get it as right as we can the first time out. And then once you have something to look at, you have 2 times to kind of, think. And you just like I did, I had 2 revisions, then I was like, oh, I forgot. And it wasn't a major thing, and they didn't charge me for it. But I'm just saying, if you're always changing your elevation or moving a bedroom around, and then they have to rework where the bathroom and the plumbing and all that kind of stuff, that can take time. So we got our design. I've had my 2.3 revisions, and now what happens? What happens?
Okay. So after you approve your plans, we also advise that if you have any contractors, subcontractors, you show them the plans at this time as well.
Mm-hmm.
They might have an idea, or, hey, this is going to be cheaper for you. So we always recommend show this to your contractor. That way they can see what's going on, what you're going to be building, also your budget, because some people love to design a 5,000 square foot home and they only had enough for a 3 or 2,000 square foot home. So
it's called champagne wishes with beer money. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, so please show it to your contractor. After that, once you've approved all the plans, we do give it to our engineer to review it. That takes a couple of days. He reviews, might give us revisions, might not, on the structural portion, which is the foundation and the framing. If he does not have any revisions, then we continue with just getting the plan sealed and starting the city process.
So I wanted to pause there as well. So I'll give you guys an example. The duplexes that I'm building, or the duplex, I'm going to do it in phases. So first duplex, I really like, as a personal Kevin thing, I really like block and beam foundations, or pier and beam foundations, because the properties I've sold over the 20 years I've been in real estate, block and beam to me are better foundations than slab. So at the point where I got my final plans from Houston Plans and Permits, the designer, they asked you at the very front, what type of foundation you want. You want block and beam, or you want slab? I chose block and beam. When I gave it to one of the contractors that I was considering using, he was like, why are you doing block and beam? I said, well, I just think that they're better foundation. He said, oh, but it's more expensive and this, that, and the other. And so he really tried to talk me out of doing a block and beam. Gave it to another contractor who is used to doing block and beam. He said, oh yeah, no problem. And it was essentially the same cost. So what that contractor was basically doing was, I don't like block and beam because I don't know how to do it. I like slab, so do slab. So I tell you that quick story that it is important to show your plans at this stage to a contractor, because although I disagreed with the contract that gave me slab, that would have been the opportunity for me then to change it to slab versus block and beam. So I just kind of wanted to give a personal testimony as it pertains to that. So I got my plans, I've approved them, my contractors looked at them. If any changes needed to be made based on their experience and out in the field and things of that nature, we got that. So what happens now? Everybody's looked at the plans, and I'm ready to move forward.
Okay, so after the engineer has sealed and you're ready to move forward, we start the city process. Everybody gets a little frightened when we tell them the time frame for the city.
Well, it's true. I'll go attest to that.
Yeah, we always say 1 to 2 months, because the first time we submit to the city is 3 weeks before we can get it back for a new custom home. Addition remodels, those are different. Mm-hmm. Those are shorter time frames. But a new house, it'll take about 3 weeks to get it back the first time. The city will give us revisions, for your sidewalk if we have to apply for a variance. So that process, we do tell everybody, it will take 1 to 2 months. Now, when we pre-qualified you, if you were in a flood zone or your lot was over 15,000 square feet, then we tell you it might be 1 to 3 months, because it will take longer. So then By then, once we submit to the city, we provide the client with the link and their project number, so they could always be seeing 24/7 the status of their project at the city.
Yeah, and so just so you guys know, mine was almost 4 months, and so we were moving pretty quick at the beginning, and then all of a sudden we just hit a glacier pace. And after multiple follow-ups, the city just basically said, "Hey, we're behind. We're running on a 14-day turnaround just to even look at stuff." The project manager from the city emailed my project manager and myself. So. If you're familiar with the Bible and the story of Job and his patience, then you're going to have to pack a lot of that Job level patience once your plans are submitted.
Yes, and not to mention Harvey, backed the city up as well, and it was bad. And then if they have any meetings or training courses, it will back up the city process even more. We will call, we'll email them. Oh, I'm sorry, we're on a 14-day, plan check fee, and I'm like, oh, 14 days. How does that work? It's only one comment, and sometimes the city is like, it is what it is.
Right. Absolutely. No, the city, God bless them. I know they have a tough job, and we're in the fourth largest city in America, but I could have a whole podcast. In fact, I think I am going to have the whole podcast on permitting with the director of permitting, the new director of the permitting office. I know him personally, but when you have to wait 14 days because you accidentally forgot to put a label or misspelled a word accidentally, that's just unnecessary to me. But that's beyond the scope of our discussion today.
Yes.
So
we have a couple.
Go ahead.
We have a couple people that will help us out in the city, but at the same time, we're putting their job on the line. So we do ask for help. Sometimes if it's taking way too long, we'll go to the city. We try our best. We charge you a certain price, and we go as many times as possible in order to get you approved as fast as possible.
Yeah, no, and expedite. So talk about that plan expediter. Yeah, talk about that real quick.
About what? I'm sorry?
Y'all expedite the plans as far as you have people that know the project managers, and you can pay for that as well.
Yes. So the city does have overtime. There's certain departments that have to be approved before you can hit overtime. And then what that means is you can pay the city an extra fee in order for them to review overnight. Meaning you pay this fee, but you have to have certain departments approved. You pay this fee, and they will review overnight. And then you'll either get approved or you'll have a comment. Hopefully, no comments. But then you'll get approved and then you're ready for permitting. Or we try to make an appointment. Hey, there's only two comments, and it's something on the notes, general notes, and sometimes they'll help out and approve it.
Got you. And fee-wise of that cost to expedite with the city, is there a general range of that cost, just so people have an understanding?
Yes, it costs about $230.
Got you. So using mine as an example, I went back and forth. They had some structural comments. They needed us to go out and prove that we didn't need to install a sidewalk. So I actually myself went out and took pictures and said there are no sidewalks in this particular neighborhood, and provided that with my project manager. So that helped. So you're going and doing all of these things based on the comments that the city is giving you, and it goes through different departments. So kind of fast forwarding to, okay, hey, I've gotten my plans finally approved. If for those of you that follow me on social media, you saw that picture with my project manager lately with this yellow piece of paper in my hand. Can you explain to the people what that yellow piece of paper means and why I was so happy about
it? So that yellow piece of paper means you've been approved at the city and you're ready to start construction, and that is your permit. That means you pretty much can start construction as soon as you have that yellow permit in your hands.
Yeah. So she said it quickly, but after 4.5, almost 5 months, I wanted to dance and do the RoboCop and the Cabbage Patch, and I guess people can tell how old I am based on the dance references I'm using. I'm not using anything new like the dab. Anyway, I'll get past that. So, what overall, can you give people a sense of the cost of this process? Because I think people, kind of wonder, is it $1 million to get the plans approved? Is it $2? What's the overall general cost, or is there a rule of thumb?
Well, the overall cost, it really depends if you do custom or you pick a stock plan. Like I said earlier, stock plan's a little cheaper. If you do custom, we do charge per square foot. We don't ever include the city fees into our fees, because the city can charge you for impact fees, or they charge you the plan check fee or in the permit fee. But there's ways to help out with the impact fees at the city. Depends on your actual project. If it's less than 3,000 square feet and there's water lines, sometimes they allow you to exempt those impact fees. So that's why we don't
Mine were
include the city
exempted.
fees with ours.
Laylee did a good job in filling out the necessary information to get mine exempted. So and for folks that don't know, impact fees are the city charges you to tap into their water and their sewer, and they charge you a fee that's called impact, because you're impacting their infrastructure. And so you can get those fees waived if your project is considered an affordable housing project or of a certain number. So, and that I don't. How much are those fees approximately?
The impact fees, they start about $2,000.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
It's how much impact. They're based on how much impact they anticipate, basically. So that was
Mhm. So it'll be from like 1,500 to 2,000 for the impact fees. So that's why we try to help for you to get those fees waived. Now the permit, it depends on the size of your actual project. If your house is 2,000 square feet, you're looking at about $800, $900. If your project is 5,000 square feet, you're gonna be looking at a little more, about $1,200 to $1,600 for your permit.
right.
The city does charge a 25% fee before we can submit, because a lot of people were submitting projects and never picking them up, so the city was working for free. So now the city changed the way they work, and they charge a 25% fee before you submit, and then the rest, that's a fee for your permit. So 25% at the beginning, and then the last fee is once you get approved.
Yeah, and so I think I was about $1,800 in with the city with various fees on a 2,250 square foot project. And I think mine was a little bit more expensive. I got the sense because I was a duplex and not a single family. But
Yes.
yeah. So, and I'll tell people, from design to my city permits, I probably was about $7,000 to $8,000 in, and that's not all Houston plans and permits. About 2,000 to 3,000 of that is city stuff and fees and survey and all of those things. So just to give you overall a sense for 2,250, but again, I was building a duplex, so just to take some of the mystery out of it. So as we come to a close here, I wanted you to maybe give people maybe one or two things that they just need to be aware of as they either work with you guys or really just go through that process. What would prepare them most to go through this process with Houston Plans and Permits and the city, and even dealing with contractors? What general advice might you have?
Yeah. So what we do advise is if you already have the property, then we can't go there. But if you don't have the property, you could always give us a call. That's like biggest tip. Give us that address. Let us pre-qualify it for you, and we can give you information, at no charge, letting you know what type of property it is. That is probably one of the biggest tips we can give. If you don't have the property, or if you're ready to purchase it, let us pre-qualify it. That way we can let you know what you're going to be running into with us and the city. If you're in a flood, like I said, or you need a drainage plan. So that's really, really important, the address, letting us pre-qualify it. Now, for the city, I do say, use plans and permits for the permitting process. We are more knowledgeable on, trying to help you waive fees or what you're going to need, or, it might be a long process, but if you, a lot of times, if you have time, then go ahead and try the city process. But we do have a plan runner that's an expert, and, she's at the city all the time, and she's helping, talking to plan checkers, she gets to know the plan checkers, so they sometimes help us a little bit more. So I always recommend, just let us handle your permitting process as well.
Got you. So how do I get in touch with Houston Plans and Permits? Give us your contact, the best way to reach you guys.
Okay, So the way to contact plans and permits, like I said, it's always good to pre-qualify your address. So we do have a sales team. Um, we have a sales team and the project service team, but you can either go on our website and put your information in. Our website is plansandpermits.net, or you can reach us at 281-372-1555, or as easy as even contacting us through Facebook or Instagram, or so those are other ways you can contact us, or you can even just walk into our office. We're located off 610 in Ella, which our address is 1415 North Loop West, Houston, Texas 77008.
All right, guys. Well, look, I thank you for being with us today. I really thank your company and Hugo for helping a little old commercial real estate broker like myself try to build his projects. I will be coming back for my second project, and I felt so good about your company that I wanted to feature you on my podcast. So thank you so very much.
Okay, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. And if you get stuck through like construction, don't you can call us.
Oh no, I'm getting home addresses. I'm coming to y'all's house, trying to figure it out. No, absolutely. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody, thank you for listening to the Real Estate of Life with Kevin Riles. We hope you learned something today, and I will see you next week. Hey, first and foremost, I want to thank you for listening to the Real Estate of Life with Kevin Riles. You know what? I've decided you guys need to call me. Why do you need to call me? If you're looking for commercial real estate services, you need to call Kevin Riles Commercial. We offer tenant representation. We specialize in investment brokerage as well. So if you're someone out there that's looking to lease commercial office space, we're the company for you. And then also, if you're looking for anything that returns a return on your investment, industrial, retail, multifamily, things of that nature, give us a call. Call us at 281-403-3700. Again, that's 281-403-3700, or look at us online at kevinrilescommercial.com.